Back with our former NYPD detectives, Bill Majeski and John Besa. Mr. Besa, first to you, as we're looking right now of live shots of where the press conference, Montgomery County press conference, is about to begin. Yesterday, we heard Charles Moose give a very cryptic message. Perhaps it was not, perhaps we take it on face value, but he read every word very carefully twice in which he said, "We did not understand you," etc., to the sniper. Was that a message, or are we to take it on face value?
I believe it was a message to the sniper or the shooter, or whoever they believe wrote this note, and I believe the chief was trying to reach out.
So it was some kind of code which has been established between law enforcement and the sniper.
It may well be. I mean, we don't know that, and we're just speculating if we go ahead and say that. But it may well be, or it may just be that he, wanted the shooter to call back.
Yeah. Now we should mention what actually happened was there was a number that was left that was sort of a chat line number, apparently, that the caller could call into, and the police were tapped into from the time they received the note, correct?
That's what I understand.
Has this sort of thing happened before, to your knowledge?
Not exactly. I'm sure there's been more communication with these types of criminals, but not to this extent. And the other thing is, I don't know if the police have come out and said that they definitely believe that this note was put there by the shooter. I mean, there is always a chance that somebody else put that there and called them up and said, "Hey, check this out."
Well, this might give an idea. It sort of enlarges the base of possible suspects. We talked before about whether this was going to be a forensics case, that forensics would solve this case, some kind of note or clothing or fingerprint, or whether it's going to be a personal break in the case that breaks this case open, a coworker or a friend. Which do you think is more likely to happen?
I definitely think a coworker or a friend, a personal break. There's definitely somebody out there that knows this guy. He's not a ghost. He's not Ted Kaczynski hiding away somewhere. This guy, somebody knows him.
Bill Majeski, what do you think? Is this going to be broken by forensics or by a personal contact?
Usually they're broken by dogged determination by the detectives that are involved in the investigation, and I think this is not going to be any exception. I think that the detectives that are working on the case now, or the investigators, are doing an exemplary job considering the circumstances, and I think it's just a question of them being determined and going out there and finding the potential witnesses that are going to help break the case. And clearly, in addition to that, you have the public at large. As I said, there is always somebody out there that knows something about this individual.
John Besa, as we wait for the news conference to start, do you think that this person really wants money?
No, I think that's ridiculous. I don't think they want money. If in fact this is the shooter, that's just a game he's playing with the police, and it's a power game, and he feels powerful because of that.
So to throw them off the scent, just to make them even more frustrated in their work?
That could be. It could be to make them more frustrated. I don't know. If it is the shooter that left this note, it could just be a game, part of a game that he's playing with the police, and he wants to make them look foolish, and he thinks he is.
We're waiting to hear from Chief Moose any moment now. Yesterday, of course, he said he had this message: the person you called could not hear everything you said. Call us back so we can understand. Do you believe that there is, in fact, the communication between Chief Moose and the sniper, a one-on-one kind of communication, or what?
Well, I believe Chief Moose is communicating with somebody. I don't know if it is, in fact, the sniper, but that's Chief Moose's job. He has to do that. He has to try to draw this person out so that maybe we can track him down through his communications.
Bill, they've had over 14,000 leads. I think something like 70,000 calls have come into the tip line. 14,000 of those have been considered significant enough, so they're being followed. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's very difficult because you need someone there to go through them and prioritize those leads as they do come in.
So it's like a triage for leads.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You'll have a trained investigator that is going to be, or a series of trained investigators that are going to be going in and taking a look at them and saying, okay, let's put this at the top of the list, let's put this somewhere in the middle, and you'll have teams of people out there that will be doing the high priority, the mid priority. Also would like to mention, in connection with that possibility of it not being the sniper that's communicating. I've always believed that there were more than one person involved in this whole situation.
Why have you always believed that?
Well, initially I thought it was a tag team match, the way the shootings were occurring. But you know, putting that aside, there's always seems to be.
Excuse me, just a second. You mean by tag team, one person shoots, then the next day another person shoots? Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, but putting that theory aside, I've always believed that there was some kind of a opposition in the thoughts. So we'll go back to that tarot card. We had "Dear Mr. Policeman," which was a conciliatory type of statement, and "I am God," which is a very bold and arrogant kind of a statement, almost as though it were two personalities. And here with the money is a very, very unusual set of circumstances connected with these mass murders. Perhaps you have one person in the team saying, all right, you know, I'm here for the power, and the other person saying, well, wait a second, let's get some money out of this thing. And
so this might be, in fact, a break for investigators.
Actually,
there might be a split between two people here.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But as I said, in all investigations, you have to explore all possibilities. Even though you're following one particular track, and a very quick pattern, you cannot ignore all those other possibilities that do exist in the investigation process.
Again, still waiting to hear the latest from Chief Moose. Meantime, John Beza, back to you. What about that? Do you think one person or maybe a tag team here?
You know what? I don't know. In the beginning, I thought it might have been two as well, but because of the way the shootings were occurring and how many of them. But I really don't know, and I think that it's just pure speculation on anybody's part to say how many shooters there are. We don't know. If we have evidence that there's more than one, then fine. But the bottom line is it doesn't change the way the investigation is done at this point, because we're still looking for evidence that can lead us to the shooter. We really don't know anything about him.
All right, John Beza and Bill Majewski, I want to ask you to stand by. Thanks, both of you.